One question many people have when investing in a portfolio is whether you should invest in an S&P 500 index fund or a total stock market index. It's a good question. I don't think it needs to be complicated, but the explanation takes a little bit of time. First, let's walk through the differences between the VOO and the VTI. So right now we're looking at the VTI here on Morningstar. And if we look at the expense ratio, it's only 30 basis points, and it's identical for the VOO here, so 30 basis points, so in that way they're the same. And if we take a look at the style boxes, here it's a large cap fund for VTI, so the style box for VOO is again a large cap fund, so in that way they're the same. And if we scroll down and look at the top 10 holdings, we see that they're identical. So Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, Google for VOO, and the same for VTI. Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, Google. So the top 10 holdings are the same, but the weights are different. So if we look at here, this is VTI, 23% of the assets are in the top 10 holdings. And if you look at VOO, 28% of the assets are in the top 10 holdings. So it's important to understand that most index funds are market cap weighted. What that means is when you invest $500 into the S&P 500, you're not putting $1 into each stock. Different companies get different allocations depending on their market cap. The more valuable the company, the more money that it receives in the index. So you might be asking, well, why do they do this? Why don't they just distribute it evenly? Well, the idea is to mirror the market. The market doesn't spread capital evenly. Apple has a lot greater valuation than other companies in the market, therefore it gets more of your money when you invest in these funds. So let's go ahead and keep looking at VOO and some of the differences. So right here we're looking at actually VTI. So if you see the equity holdings here is 4%, sorry, not 4%, is 4,000 equity holdings versus the equity holdings here is only 510% in the VOO. And if we look at the yield, so we have a 12-month yield of 1.2 on the VTI, and over here on VOO, it's a 1.25 on the 12-month yield. So there is a slight difference in the yields, but they're still very close to each other. So now you might be asking, which one has performed better? Let's go ahead and pull it up on Portfolio Visualizer and compare the returns between the two. So here I am on Portfolio Visualizer. The parameters that I've set up are an initial investment of $10,000 with a contribution of $500 monthly, because that more resembles what you do in the real world. Not a lot of people do an initial investment of a fixed dollar amount and then never invest again. So if we go ahead and take a look at the returns here, we have a compound annual growth rate for VTI of 33.10 and VOO is 33.18. So they're neck and neck in their performance. And it's kind of funny. Just look at the graph here. You might think we're looking at one fund, but no, this is two funds. So they perform almost identically. And the data is from 2010. So that was the inception of the VOO fund. And if we look at the worst year, we have 5% for VTI, 4.5% for the S&P, and max drawdowns, a few percentage points difference, but they're very close together. So you might be wondering, how do I decide what to invest in? And that really depends on what you have available. So for example, in my retirement account, I only have access to an S&P 500 index funds. So that's the one that I invest in. However, you might have a total stock market and not an S&P 500. So you would be fine investing in either one. However, if you have a choice in a taxable account or an IRA, and you just want to keep things simple, just go with the total stock market index fund. You'll get that added diversity, and there'll be less funds that you have to keep track of. So you'll get the 4,000 holdings versus the 500 and change of the S&P 500. However, when I would recommend an S&P 500 is if you want to start slicing and dicing your portfolio. If you're the type of person that wants to get more exposure to different market segments, such as like small cap, then the S&P 500 index fund might be right for you. It'll be able to give you more control if you want to start adding more funds to your portfolio. There you go. There are the differences between the VTO and the VTI. The good news is that even though there are some differences between the funds, they're both great options for US stock exposures. So go ahead and pick one and you really can't go wrong. Well, I hope you got something from this video. Let me know in the comments down below. Is there something that I missed in the differences between the VTO and the VTI? Thanks for watching.